It was a cold night in Los Angeles. The streets were alive with city lights, but inside a rusty old car parked behind a gas station. A young man named Daniel sat shivering under a thin blanket. He had no home, no money, and barely enough food to make it through the week. For weeks, his car had become his bedroom, his kitchen, and his only safe space in the world. Daniel stared at the cracked roof of his car and whispered to himself, "This can't be my life forever. I have to change this." But the truth was, everything in his life pointed toward failure. He had lost his job months ago. He had applied to more than 50 positions, only to be rejected every single time. Friends had disappeared when he needed them most. Even his own family had stopped picking up his calls. Still, in the silence of that lonely car, one thought refused to leave him. If I'm still breathing, I'm still in the fight. Every morning, Daniel cleaned up in a gas station bathroom, hiding his shame from strangers. Then he'd head to the library, the only place he could use free Wi-Fi and keep himself busy. Most people thought he was wasting time, but Daniel had a vision. Instead of scrolling endlessly, he started studying business, marketing, and technology online. He read about people who built empires from scratch. Every success story gave him a spark of hope. If they could do it, maybe he could too. But doubt was always there. You don't have money, don't have connections. Who do you think you are? The voice inside his head grew louder each night. Still, Daniel made himself a promise, one small step every day. One afternoon at the library, Daniel overheard two college students complaining about how difficult it was to build websites for their projects. His ears perked up. He had spent weeks learning the basics of web design online. Maybe he could help. He leaned over and said softly, "I might know how to do that." The students looked at him suspiciously. He didn't look like a professional, just a tired man in worn-out clothes. But when Daniel showed them a mock-up on the library computer, their eyes widened. They offered him $200 to build their project. It was the first money he had earned in months. It was the first proof that his late-night study sessions meant something. Daniel didn't stop there. He created free websites for small businesses in exchange for testimonials. Signed up on freelance platforms, even when most clients ignored him. Slowly, his portfolio grew. Some nights he still slept in his car, but his heart was no longer broken. It was on fire. Months turned into years. Daniel saved every dollar he could, upgrading from sleeping in his car to renting a tiny apartment. He invested in better tools, faster internet, and slowly built a small agency. His hustle was relentless. He woke up at 5 a.m., worked 16 hours a day, and taught himself skills no one could take away from him. People who once laughed at him started asking him for advice. Former friends who had ignored him came back, shocked by his progress. 10 years later, Daniel stood on the stage of a grand conference hall in New York City. Behind him, a massive screen displayed the name of his company, valued at over $1 billion. The same man who once slept in his car now ran a global tech empire. As the audience applauded, Daniel's voice cracked with emotion. "I was once the guy who had nowhere to sleep but a broken-down car. I was rejected more times than I can count. But I refused to give up." The truth is, success doesn't come to the smartest or the luckiest. It comes to those who refuse to stop moving forward, even when the world tells them they can't. The crowd erupted in cheers. That night, as Daniel sat in his luxury office overlooking the city skyline, he thought about that freezing night years ago in his car. He smiled and whispered, "I told myself I would change this. I did." Daniel's story is not about money, it's about belief. When life pushes you to the ground, you have two choices: stay there or rise again. And remember, if you're still breathing, you're still in the fight.